Hey, everybody. I know it's been a minute since I've done a morning minute, but I just believe that it just may not have been a season for me to really speak like that with the morning minutes. Like I've told you before, I only speak when I feel moved by the Spirit that there's something that needs to be said. Sometimes I can doubt that. Sometimes I may get in my own way. My wife gets on me a lot about speaking what I'm believing God is saying. And sometimes I do get in my own head. And so maybe there have been times when I should have been saying some things and I didn't. So for that, I apologize. But I do feel strongly about what I'm about to say today. So I was speaking with a good friend this morning, like a spiritual sister to me. And we were talking about being nervous, being afraid, being anxious, if you will, when it comes to public speaking, and how people tend to say things like, I'm afraid of public speaking, or I don't like public speaking. And there's so many things that people worry about when it comes to doing things publicly. I mean, as an assistant pastor, I see it all the time. Just in ministry period, you have those that feel like because they don't have a particular title, that they don't know how to, when it comes to asking somebody else to pray or to read a scripture. And even sometimes, when you say, listen, you think you might have a word, or even giving a testimony, people shy away from that. Even when they feel that maybe there's something they need to say, they shy away from it because there's so much anxiety that comes along with public speaking. So we were talking about that this morning. And then a little later, I heard this song by Donnie McClurkin called I Will Trust You. It's a song that I actually had to learn to sing for my former pastor's wife. She loved the song. And one day she comes to me and goes, I have a song I think will be perfect for your voice tone. And she gave me this song by Donnie McClurkin. So I actually had to learn it. And when I had to learn it, I really got into the words of this song. But there's some things that Donnie says in the beginning of the song where he's saying, like kind of these what if questions, what if I asked you to do this? Would your answer be yes? He's saying the Lord is saying these things to you. What if I asked you to do this? Would you still trust me? What if you didn't hear my voice? Would you still trust me? What if, what if, what if? So as this song was playing, I was listening to it. I heard so strongly, man. I felt this in my shana now, y'all. I heard this so deeply, man, that many of us need to be reprogrammed. If you've seen the title here, the video, I'm titling this Code Breaker Reprogramming. Many of us need to be reprogrammed. I was really thinking about this as I was listening to this song and thinking about the conversation I was having with my spiritual sister. And, I was like, wow. So here's a little background and stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm gonna try to keep this brief, but to stay with me here. So I'm not a military person. I haven't gone through any military training or anything like that. However, I have friends and family who have gone through basic training and boot camp or in the military. And one thing that I consistently hear from them is how challenging the boot camp is, how hard the basic training is. That's the first, few weeks you have when you first join. You know what I mean? I always hear how challenging that is. And one person said, and I don't remember who this was, but they said the reason why that particular segment of the military, the boot camp, the basic training, the reason why it's so challenging is because they're trying to reprogram you. They're trying to break your old habits, break your old way of thinking. Because from what I understand, there's a way of life and then there's a military way of life. And that military way of life is more disciplined. It's more rigid and it's more structured, and for anybody who's never been in the military, you have no idea what that means. And what's interesting is it doesn't matter how disciplined your life is now. If you've never been in the military or never been raised by someone in the military, if you've never done any of that, then you don't know what it means to live a military life. So, even those that because I had one friend who she had pledged a sorority, and then she went into the military, and she's like, when she went in, she's like, I pledged a sorority, so I know what it means for the hazing and all that kind of stuff there. And it's still, she was like, when she came out, she said to me, Kenny, I've never experienced anything like that before. I thought I knew what I was going into because I had pledged. So it doesn't matter what type of discipline you've experienced before. When you get into the military, it's a different way of life. So the boot camp is designed to break old habits and reprogram you. So what I'm saying here is for believers, and this is for believers because this isn't going to be popular for everybody. Everybody's not going to agree with what I'm about to say here, but for those of us who have accepted Christ and are living a life of Christ, you know what I mean? We're living Christ in our lives. There needs to be a reprogramming because you see, all of our lives we've been told some lies. We've been told some things that have been some lies. So we have bought into a world system that is not designed for kingdom citizens. Let me say that again. We have bought into a world system that is not designed for kingdom citizens. What do you mean by that? What I'm saying is that all our lives we've been told by motivational speakers, we've been told in school, maybe even by our parents, believe in yourself and anything is possible. Well, I'm sorry, but that's so not true. It's a lie, but it's a lie that we've bought. Well, why would I say that it's a lie? Well, again, for believers, let's go to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And here's the part, lean not to your own understanding. Then it goes on to say, in all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. He will direct your path. But the part I want you to focus on is lean not to your own understanding. So if it says trust in the Lord with all your heart and then lean not to your own understanding, then that literally means don't trust yourself. That's what it means. And what I'm getting is we become nervous when it comes to things, especially things in church or in ministry. We become nervous when it comes to praying in front of other people or speaking in front of other people because we're still leaning on ourselves. When we say things like, well, I'm worried about what people may think, or I don't know what I'm going to say, or I don't know how to do that. But that's exactly where God wants us. That's exactly where he wants us, in a place where, God, I don't know how I'm going to do this, so I can't lean on myself. I've got to trust in you. And I found out through personal experience that God will take us to places, or bring us to places, take us through places that will break us down. He is the ultimate code breaker. He's going to bring us to a point in our lives to break the old us, to break the habits that we have of trusting in ourselves, trusting in our loyals, as you hear people say, and things like that. He has to break that lie, break that system that we bought into from a child. Trust in yourself, and you can make all things happen. Everything is possible. You just trust in you. He's got to break that. So he will literally bring you to a point where you have to break out of that habit, break out of that idealism, break out of that thought process so that you can get to a point where you're trusting solely in him. Solely in him. He is the code breaker. We need to be reprogrammed as believers. And it doesn't necessarily stop with church. Many of us are afraid to step out on faith in certain areas, step out on faith to start that business, step out on faith to launch that ministry, step out on faith in whatever area. God may be speaking to you to speak to somebody on your job, but you're worrying about how they're going to receive it, or you're worrying about, well, I've never spoken before. Let's think about Moses. When God approached Moses and said to him that he wanted him to free the people of Egypt. You know what I mean? When he said that he wanted to free the people of Egypt, he wanted Moses to free the people of Egypt. One of the first things Moses said was, listen, I don't speak well. I stutter. I don't have eloquent speech. And what am I going to say? And all those kind of things. And God had to remind him that everything he needed was right there. He was holding everything, and he had to remind him, I'm going to be with you. I'm going with you. You don't have to worry. You don't have to trust in yourself. Stop leaning on you. Stop leaning on you and begin leaning on God. But we have to be reprogrammed because we've been sold alive for so long. And nothing against any of the motivational speakers. And if you've read books that talk about believing in yourself, if it has helped you, then great. That's all fine and good. But I'm just saying from personal experience. Now, I'm one that had always been afraid of speaking publicly as a child, but I always was the one that everybody liked to see up front. You know, Kenny, you're going to sing lead in this song, and Kenny, you're got the lead part in this play, and Kenny, you're going to, and it just was one push after another. And I just believe eventually I was like, well, this is obviously what I'm supposed to be doing. So, okay. And I mean, and here I am now, a preacher. And so I understand, but I understand the fear that comes in, the anxiety that comes in. And I was telling my sister that I would love to help people in that area of that anxiety when it comes to public speaking. I don't pretend to be any expert in it or anything like that. I don't even know the process. I need to become a certified public speaking mentor or something. I don't know. But I would love to. And I said to her, you know what I mean? Is there anything I can do to help you? Because she's preparing for something. I'm like, if anything I can do to help you, let me know. But I would love to, you know, I would love to help and encourage. And that's what I'm here for now, is to encourage you that you need to be reprogrammed. Allow God to break the code that has been instilled in you from the beginning, that has been instilled in you for so many years, that if you just trust in yourself, that you can make everything happen. See, what happens is when we begin to lean on ourselves, then we see our flaws. When we trust in ourselves, we see our flaws. Okay, but when we trust in God, God doesn't see the flaws. He sees us as he wants us to be. That's the awesome part about it. So when we trust in God and we allow God to show us where he sees us to be, then we can see past the flaws and we can only see him and allow him to move and allow him to use us the way that he sees fit. So we got to stop leaning on ourselves. Allow God to be the code breaker. Allow God to break the code. Allow God to reprogram you. And another thing that came to me is Romans 12:2, that says, be not conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the reprogramming of your mind. Then you will prove what is his good and acceptable and perfect will. Like that's it right there. So again, as believers, we have got to get out of the system that we bought into, this world system. Be not conformed. Like we can literally put those two scriptures together. Be not conformed to the patterns of this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Prove what is that good, acceptable, perfect will of God. Trust in him with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He'll make your path straight. You see what I'm saying? You see how like it's just all connected. So you got to allow God to be the code breaker. Allow him to break that code. Allow him to reprogram you to the point where you see only him. When you've been called to do an assignment or a certain thing, you know what I mean? And get out of that fear. You know, if I can quote, one of my partners, Minister Gabby, she was talking to another partner one time about praying. And she said to this partner, she was like, there's no magic in the praying that you hear from myself or Pastor Fulton or Pastor Morgan or Elder Morgan. So there's no magic in that. There's no difference between our prayer and your prayer when you pray to God. So people think, you know, well, you're the pastor, you're supposed to know how to pray. You know what I mean? I'm not. I don't know how to pray. I'm not a pastor. That's not God. That's not God at all. My prayer is no more powerful than yours if you're doing it sincerely and in the will of God. That's all he asks for. He doesn't ask for eloquent speech. In fact, Jesus told his disciples, don't try to have eloquent speech. Don't try to use those big words like the hypocrites do. He told them that. He's like, it's not about how you look or how you sound, but it's about what's in your heart. It's about what's in your heart. So I just want to encourage you, allow God to break that code and reprogram you. We got to be reprogrammed. We bought into a world system that's just not fit for kingdom citizens. You are a kingdom citizen. You are a kingdom citizen. So the patterns of this world don't even fit you. They don't even fit you. So you literally can do all things through Christ. Not through yourself. Not through yourself. The scripture doesn't even say you can do all things through yourself. That's not what the scripture says. It says you can do all things through Christ who gives you the strength. So be encouraged. As always, I love you guys. God bless you. Later.